The rain outside hammered against the window pane of my small apartment, a relentless, mournful rhythm that mirrored the ache in my chest. It had been one of those endlessly gray, emotionally heavy days, the kind that settle deep into your bones and refuse to leave, the kind that make you crave warmth, comfort, and something familiar to cling to. I was curled on the sofa, a half-read book forgotten on my lap, nursing a mug of lukewarm tea. The silence in the apartment was vast, punctuated only by the drumming rain, and it felt too big for just me. My gaze drifted to the back of the worn armchair across the room where it lay. His jacket. He had left it behind weeks ago, after one of those hurried, almost frantic goodbyes that felt more like an unraveling than a departure. I hadn't moved it. Couldn't bring myself to. It was a dark, almost charcoal gray, well-loved leather jacket, softened by years of wear, with a slight scuff on the left elbow from that time he'd tripped over his own feet on a hike. It was undeniably his, imbued with his presence, even in his absence. I knew I should put it away, fold it neatly, or perhaps even mail it back. It was a lingering ghost, a tangible reminder of what we had and what we had lost. But every time I thought about touching it, about making that final, decisive move, a wave of resistance would wash over me. It was the last piece of him I had, a tangible link to a past that, even in its pain, felt infinitely better than this empty present. The thought of it lying there, so close, yet so agonizingly out of reach, became unbearable. With a sigh that felt too heavy for my small frame, I slowly uncurled myself from the sofa. Each step towards the armchair felt charged, heavy with unspoken emotions. As I reached it, my hand hovered over the worn leather, a strange mix of dread and longing swirling within me. This was it. The moment I would finally acknowledge the ending, put away the last vestige of us. But then my fingers brushed against the cool leather and a different impulse took over. Instead of folding it, I picked it up. It was heavier than I remembered. Or perhaps it just felt that way, laden with the weight of memories. I pulled it towards me, burying my face in the collar. And that's when it hit me, a faint yet undeniable scent. His scent, a mix of crisp autumn air, the subtle spice of his cologne, and something uniquely him, a blend of old books and late-night coffee. It was a familiar, comforting aroma that immediately transported me back. His jacket still smelled like memories. And in that instant, a dam broke within me. It wasn't the fresh, stinging pain of a new wound, but the deep, dull ache of chronic grief, suddenly brought to the surface by a simple, evocative scent. I pulled the jacket tighter around me, burying my face deeper into the fabric, and a soft sob escaped my lips. It wasn't the kind of violent, racking sobs of immediate heartbreak, but quiet, tearless tremors that shook my shoulders. It was the sound of a heart acknowledging its profound loss, admitting its persistent longing. I slipped my arms into the sleeves. The leather was cool at first, then warmed against my skin, molding to my shape with a comforting familiarity. It was too big, of course, swallowing my smaller frame, the sleeves reaching past my fingertips. But in that oversized comfort, I felt a strange sense of security, a fleeting illusion of being held, protected. It was like wrapping myself in a memory, a phantom embrace that, for a few precious moments, made the vast silence of the apartment feel less lonely. I walked back to the sofa, dragging the heavy jacket around me and curled up again. Pulling my knees to my chest, the scent intensified, surrounding me, immersing me in a world that no longer existed. I closed my eyes, letting the memories wash over me, a bittersweet tide. I remembered the day he bought it. We were window shopping on a brisk autumn afternoon, and he'd spotted it in a small vintage store. He wasn't usually one for impulsive purchases, but something about the jacket had called to him. He tried it on, spun around with a boyish grin, and I told him how perfect it looked, how it captured his quiet strength and rugged charm. He bought it, and from that day on, it had been a signature. I remembered all the times I'd borrowed it, shivering in the cool evening air, and how it had always enveloped me in his warmth, his scent. The night we'd watched a meteor shower in the park, huddled together on a blanket, his jacket pulled around us both. The scent of damp grass and cool night air mixed with his familiar aroma. The way he'd leaned in, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "You're my universe." I remembered the time I'd spilt coffee on it, a panic stain on the sleeve, and how he just laughed, brushing it off, telling me it added character. He never cared about superficial imperfections, always seeing the deeper value, the story etched into every flaw. That was one of the things I loved most about him, his ability to embrace the messy, imperfect beauty of life. The memories came in a rush, a silent film playing behind my eyelids, each scene infused with the comforting, heartbreaking scent of the jacket. The late night drives, the windows down, the wind whipping our hair, his arm stretched across the back of my seat, his jacket sleeve brushing my shoulder. The quiet mornings, wrapped in his jacket, sipping coffee on the balcony. As the city woke up, the countless times he'd draped it over me when I was cold, or when he simply wanted to keep me close. Every fiber of the leather seemed to hum with these moments, a living archive of our time together. It wasn't just a jacket. It was a vessel, a tangible collection of laughter, shared secrets, quiet comforts, and unspoken promises. It was the physical embodiment of a love that had once felt so solid, so uncheckable, and now felt like a fragile wisp of smoke, held only by the threads of memory and the lingering scent of him. The rain outside continued its relentless drumming, a somber accompaniment to my internal landscape. The initial ache had settled into a profound sadness, a deep understanding of the emptiness he had left behind. But within that sadness, wearing his jacket, there was also a strange sense of solace. It was a way to feel close to him, to revisit a time when everything felt right, when his presence was a constant, comforting given. I knew this wasn't healthy, not really. Clinging to a jacket, to a ghost of a scent, wouldn't bring him back. It wouldn't mend the broken pieces of my heart. But in that moment, in the soft glow of the living room lamp, surrounded by the scent of memories and the gentle hum of the rain, it was enough. It was all I had. And for a little while longer, I would allow myself this bittersweet comfort, this temporary retreat into a past where his jacket still smelled like warmth, like laughter, and like an unending, beautiful future. I must have drifted off, still wrapped in his jacket, because the next time I opened my eyes, the rain had softened to a gentle patter against the window, and the living room was bathed in the dim blue light of pre-dawn. The mug of lukewarm tea was cold beside me on the sofa. My body felt stiff from being curled in one position, but my mind, surprisingly, felt clearer. The raw edge of grief softened by the haze of sleep and the comforting presence of the jacket. It was still too big, still swallowed me whole, but it had offered a peculiar solace, a tangible link to a past that felt both distant and incredibly vivid. Reluctantly, I slipped out of the jacket, the coolness of the air hitting me immediately. I held it for a moment, pressing it to my face, inhaling that faint, evocative scent one last time. It was fading, I realized, slowly, inevitably, just like the memories themselves. This thought brought a fresh pang of sadness, a quiet ache that settled deep in my chest. It was time, I knew, to acknowledge the reality of the situation, to move forward, even if it was just one hesitant step at a time. I carefully folded the jacket, smoothing out the worn leather, and placed it on the back of the armchair where it had rested for weeks. This time, however, it felt less like a shrine and more like a cherished artifact, a testament to a chapter of my life that, while closed, would never be forgotten. I made my way to the kitchen, the silence of the apartment feeling less oppressive now, more like a quiet space waiting to be filled. I brewed a fresh pot of coffee, the rich aroma filling the air, a small comfort in the lingering solitude. As the sun began to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of pink and gold, I sat at my kitchen table, sipping my coffee, and tried to think about the day ahead. It was just a regular Tuesday, full of mundane tasks and looming responsibilities, but something felt different. The bittersweet indulgence of the night had, surprisingly, left me with a quiet resolve later that morning as I went about my routine. The image of the jacket folded neatly on the armchair stayed with me. It wasn't the haunting presence it had been before, but a gentle reminder. A reminder of love, yes, but also a reminder that life, even after profound loss, continues. And that I, too, needed to continue. I decided then that I would finally deal with it. Not mail it back, not yet, but put it away properly. Store it with the other mementos, the photographs, the letters, the small trinkets that told the story of us. It was a way of honoring the past without letting it define my present dot as the day progressed. The initial quiet resolve began to deepen. I went for a walk in the crisp autumn air, the fallen leaves crunching underfoot. The vibrant colors of the trees, a stark contrast to the grayness of the previous day, felt like a silent invitation to embrace the beauty that still existed in the world. I remembered all the walks we used to take, his hand in mine, his jacket providing warmth against the chill. Instead of dwelling on the sadness of his absence, I focused on the feeling of the sun on my face, the invigorating scent of damp earth, the quiet beauty of the world around me. It was a conscious effort, a gentle redirection of my thoughts from what was lost to what still remained. That evening, I finally opened the old wooden chest in my closet. It was where I kept all the precious artifacts of our time together, the tangible fragments of a shared history. Photographs faded around the edges, captured our laughter, our adventures, our quiet moments of intimacy. Love letters, penned in his distinct handwriting, spoke of dreams and promises. Small souvenirs from our travels, each holding a specific memory, a unique story. I picked them up, one by one, letting the emotions wash over me, not fighting them, but allowing myself to feel the tenderness, the joy, and yes, the lingering ache as I held a photo of us on a beach, his arm around me, both of us squinting into the sun. A soft smile touched my lips. He had loved the ocean, its vastness, its calming rhythm. I remembered how he would always skip rocks across the waves, his eyes focused, a look of boyish concentration on his face. This wasn't the painful memory of loss anymore. It was a cherished recollection of pure happiness, a small treasure found amidst the debris of a broken relationship. Finally, I picked up his jacket from the armchair. It felt lighter now, less burdened by my grief, more like an object of fond remembrance. I carefully folded it, smoothing out the leather, and then, with a deep breath, I placed it gently into the chest, laying it on top of the photographs and letters. It wasn't a definitive goodbye, not yet, but it was a quiet placement, a respectful acknowledgement of its place in my past. I closed the lid of the chest, a soft click echoing in the quiet room. It felt less like closing a door and more like turning a page. The act of putting the jacket away, of consciously moving from clinging to holding, brought a strange sense of liberation. It was a step towards healing, a subtle shift in perspective. The silence in the apartment still remained, but it felt less vast, less overwhelming. It felt like a space waiting to be filled with new sounds, new experiences, new life. I spent the rest of the evening doing things that brought me quiet joy. I put on one of my favorite albums, a soulful indie folk collection that always lifted my spirits. I cooked a simple, comforting meal, savoring the process, the warmth of the kitchen, the delicious aromas. I even picked up the half-read book that had been forgotten on the sofa. and found myself easily drawn back into its pages, the words flowing effortlessly, no longer overshadowed by the weight in my heart. As the night deepened and the city lights twinkled outside my window, I felt a lightness I hadn't experienced in a long time. The memories of him, of us, were still there, always would be, but they no longer felt like heavy chains pulling me down. They felt like a part of my story, a cherished chapter that had shaped me, taught me, and ultimately made me stronger. His jacket, now safely tucked away, would always smell like memories. But those memories, I realized, were no longer just about loss. They were about love, about growth, and about the unwavering capacity of the human heart to heal, to adapt, and to eventually, bravely, find its way forward into the light of a new day. The rain had stopped, the night was quiet, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a quiet sense of peace, a gentle whisper of hope for whatever lay ahead. The quiet resolve that had settled over me after placing his jacket in the chest deepened into a quiet strength in the days that followed. It wasn't an immediate cure for the lingering ache of absence, but it was a profound shift. The constant, heavy weight that had pressed down on my chest for months began to lift, replaced by a lighter, more hopeful energy. The apartment, once a silent reminder of what was lost, slowly transformed back into my sanctuary, a space where I could simply be. I found myself rediscovering small joys. The morning ritual of brewing coffee became a meditative moment, savoring the rich aroma and the warmth of the mug in my hands. I started tending to my small collection of houseplants with renewed attention, noticing the unfurling of new leaves, the subtle shifts in their green hues. There was a quiet satisfaction in nurturing something, in witnessing growth, even on a small scale. My writing, which had stalled so dramatically, began to flow again, not in a frantic burst, but in a steady, confident stream. The words felt lighter, more honest, infused with a newfound clarity that surprised even me. It was as if by acknowledging and placing the past, I had cleared the path for the present. I reconnected with friends I had inadvertently drifted from, too consumed by my grief to maintain proper connections. Brunch with Sarah, my oldest friend, was filled with laughter and easy conversation, devoid of the strained silences that had marked our previous encounters. I found myself talking about my work, my hopes, and even cautiously about the process of healing without feeling the need to apologize for my past sadness. She listened, as always, with unwavering support, her eyes reflecting a quiet understanding. "You're glowing, Zara," she observed, a gentle smile on her face. "It's good to see you, truly see you, again." Her words, simple as they were, resonated deeply. One crisp autumn afternoon, emboldened by this newfound lightness, I decided to visit a local art gallery. It was a small, independent space I hadn't been to in years, a place where I used to seek inspiration for my writing, where the colors and forms on the canvas could spark new ideas in the landscape of my mind. The air inside was hushed, filled with the faint scent of oil paint and old wood. I wandered slowly from piece to piece, letting my gaze linger on the brushstrokes, the textures, the stories each artist had tried to tell. There was a painting, in particular, that caught my eye. It was an abstract piece, a swirling vortex of deep blues and purples, punctuated by unexpected flashes of vibrant orange and yellow. It felt chaotic, yet somehow harmonious, a beautiful depiction of turmoil and hope. I stood before it for a long time, mesmerized, feeling a strange connection to its raw emotion. It felt like my own journey, the darkness of grief giving way to unexpected bursts of light and color dot as I was lost in contemplation. I became aware of someone standing quietly beside me. I glanced over and my breath hitched almost imperceptibly. He was tall, with kind eyes that held a thoughtful gaze and a gentle smile. He had a natural ease about him, a quiet confidence that was immediately appealing. He wasn't overtly handsome in a flashy way, but there was an authentic charm, a warmth that radiated from him. He wore a simple, well-fitting sweater, and his dark hair was slightly tousled as if he'd just run a hand through it. He wasn't staring at me, but rather at the painting, a similar look of contemplation on his face. "It's incredible, isn't it?" he murmured, his voice a low, pleasant rumble that surprised me with its unexpected proximity. "It really is," I agreed, my voice a little softer than usual. "It speaks volumes without saying a single word." He nodded, turning slightly to me. My gaze. His eyes were a warm hazel, flecked with gold, and they held a knowing intelligence. "Sometimes," he said, "the deepest truths are communicated in silence or in color and form." He paused, a gentle smile touching his lips. "It reminds me of the chaos and beauty of creation, whether it's on a canvas or in a code." My eyebrows lifted in surprise and intrigue. "Are you a programmer?" I asked, a faint smile touching my lips. "Something like that," he chuckled. "I dabble in software development." "And you? You look like someone who understands the deeper meanings." "I'm a writer," I confessed, feeling a surprising ease in his presence. "Or at least I try to be, currently wrestling with a novel." "Ah, words," he mused, a thoughtful look on his face. "Even more complex than code sometimes, but equally capable of building worlds." His gaze held mine, a genuine curiosity in his eyes. "What kind of worlds do you build?" And so we talked, right there in front of the abstract painting, surrounded by the quiet hum of the gallery. We talked about art, about creation, about the challenges and profound joys of our respective crafts. He shared insights into the elegant logic of algorithms, the intricate beauty of perfectly structured code. I, in turn, spoke about the nuances of character development, the power of narrative, the way words could shape perception and evoke emotion. It was a fascinating exchange, a meeting of two different worlds, yet bound by a shared passion for creation and meaning. His name was Leo. He had a quiet wit, a thoughtful way of expressing himself, and a rare ability to truly listen. He made me feel entirely comfortable, entirely myself, a feeling that had become precious after months of emotional guardedness. There was no pressure, no awkwardness, just a natural flow of conversation, a shared intellectual curiosity that sparked a genuine connection. As the gallery began to quiet, the late afternoon light softening through the large windows, Leo glanced at his watch. "I should probably let you get back to your world building," he said, a hint of reluctance in his voice. "But this has been a truly unexpected and delightful conversation, Zara." "You too, Leo," I replied, a genuine smile on my face. "More than you know. It's been a while since I've felt this inspired or this connected." He smiled, a warm, reassuring smile that reached his eyes. "Perhaps," he ventured, his voice a low, inviting tone, "we could continue this conversation over a coffee sometime. Or, if you're feeling adventurous, maybe a walk in a park where the leaves are actually changing colors, and we can discuss the aesthetics of autumn." My heart gave a small, happy leap. It was a gentle invitation, no pressure, just an open door. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt ready to walk through it. "I'd love that, Leo," I said, my voice filled with genuine warmth. Walk in the park sounds perfect." He pulled out his phone, and we exchanged numbers, a simple, modern ritual that felt charged with potential. As we walked out of the gallery, the cool autumn air hit me, but I barely noticed. The silence that had once felt so vast and overwhelming in my apartment was now replaced by the comforting hum of new possibilities. My heart, which had been achingly still for so long, felt light, open, and filled with a quiet sense of hope. The memories of him, of his jacket, were still there, always would be. but they no longer dominated the landscape of my life. Now, there was room for something new, something unexpected, something that felt beautifully, wonderfully right. The autumn air was crisp and invigorating as Leo and I walked out of the gallery, carrying the quiet hum of our conversation with us. The city, usually a source of low-grade anxiety for me, felt different, softer, imbued with a newfound sense of possibility. My heart, which had been achingly still for so long, felt light, open, and filled with a quiet sense of hope that was both thrilling and a little terrifying. The memories of him, of his jacket, were still there, always would be, but they no longer dominated the landscape of my life. Now there was room for something new, something unexpected, something that felt beautifully, wonderfully right. The days that followed our gallery meeting were a delightful blur of texts, phone calls, and an eager anticipation that hummed beneath the surface of my daily routine. Leo was just as captivating outside the gallery as he had been inside it. His texts were thoughtful, often sparking new avenues of thought or making me laugh out loud with his quiet wit. He'd send me links to articles about obscure technological innovations, knowing my scientific curiosity, or philosophical essays that he thought I might enjoy, always with a brief, insightful comment that showed he truly understood my intellectual leanings. I, in turn, found myself sharing snippets of my novel, asking his opinion on plot points or character motivations. Confident in his thoughtful and perceptive feedback, our phone calls quickly became the highlight of my evenings. We'd talk for hours, often until late into the night, after our respective workdays had wound down. He'd tell me about his programming challenges, explaining complex coding issues with a clarity that even I, a non-coder, could grasp. His passion for problem solving, his almost artistic approach to crafting elegant solutions was mesmerizing. He saw the beauty in logic and efficiency in the intricate dance of algorithms, and he articulated it with a quiet enthusiasm that was infectious. I shared my own struggles and triumphs with the novel, the moments of frustration when the words wouldn't come, and the exhilarating breakthroughs when a character finally spoke their truth. He listened with unwavering patience, offering encouragement and sometimes a completely fresh perspective that would unblock a particularly stubborn plot point. It was a remarkable exchange, a meeting of two different creative minds, each finding inspiration and understanding in the other's world. "It's funny," he mused during one of our calls, his voice a low, warm rumble that resonated through the phone. "I feel like I've known you forever, Zara, even though it's only been a few weeks. It's like we just fit." My heart swelled, a warmth spreading through me. "I feel the exact same way, Leo, like finding a missing piece. Everything just feels right when I'm talking to you." "The universe finally got its act together then?" He chuckled, a sound that made me smile. "Something like that," I agreed, a happy sigh escaping my lips. Our first proper date was that walk in the park he had suggested, where the leaves were truly changing colors. It was a crisp, bright Saturday morning, and the autumn air was invigorating, carrying the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. We met at the park entrance, and as soon as I saw him, my heart did that familiar little leap. He was wearing a dark, well-fitting jacket, not his old jacket, but a new one, sleek and understated, perfectly suited to him. His hair was slightly ruffled by the breeze, and his hazel eyes sparkled with genuine warmth as he saw me. "Zara," he said, his smile widening as I approached, "you made it, and you brought the sunshine with you." "And you brought the perfect autumn day," I replied, a genuine smile on my face. We walked for hours, simply letting our feet carry us through the vibrant landscape. The park was a riot of color, towering oaks in fiery reds, maples in brilliant golds, and deep purples from the distant dogwoods. He pointed out different species of trees, shared interesting facts about the local wildlife, his observant nature and quiet appreciation for the natural world evident in every word. I, in turn, told him about the scientific processes behind the changing leaf colors, the intricate ecosystems at play, our separate knowledge merging into a shared appreciation. We found ourselves talking about more personal things too. Our childhoods, the dreams we harbored as kids, the paths that had led us to where we were now. He spoke about his early fascination with logic puzzles and how that had evolved into a passion for coding. I shared stories about my quiet bookish childhood and the moment I realized the power of words, of storytelling. There was a vulnerability in his openness that disarmed me completely, inviting me to share my own deeper truths. I've always been a bit of an introvert, he confessed, as we paused by a small, gurgling stream, skipping smooth stones across the water. More comfortable with code than with crowds, usually, but with you, it feels easy, natural. Me, too, I admitted, a soft smile touching my lips. I tend to guard myself, especially emotionally. But you have this way of making me feel completely seen, completely safe. His eyes, those warm hazel eyes, met mine, filled with a tenderness that made my breath catch. That's how I feel with you, Zara. Like I can just be. The conversation flowed, effortlessly moving from lighthearted banter to deeper reflections. We talked about our biggest fears, our most cherished hopes for the future. He spoke about his dream of one day working on projects that truly benefited communities using technology for social good. I shared my aspiration to write stories that explored complex human emotions, hoping to connect with readers on a deeper level, to make them feel less alone. Our shared desire to contribute something meaningful to the world, to make a positive impact, formed a powerful unspoken bond between us. As the afternoon began to wane, and the golden light of the sun softened through the trees, we found a secluded bench overlooking a small, tranquil pond. The air grew cooler, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves, sending them dancing to the ground. We sat shoulder to shoulder, a comfortable silence settling between us, filled with the warmth of newfound intimacy. He turned to me, his hand gently finding mine, his thumb tracing soft patterns on my skin. Zara, he began, his voice low and sincere. I feel like I've waited my whole life for someone like you. Someone who sees the world the way I do, who understands the beauty in logic and the power in words. His gaze deepened, filled with an undeniable tenderness. I'm falling for you, hard. My heart leaped, a joyful echo of his confession. The words, direct and heartfelt, sent a thrill through me, a warmth that spread through my entire being. All the pain, all the loneliness of the past seemed to recede into a distant blur. I'm falling for you too, Leo, I whispered back, my voice thick with emotion. I think I knew from the moment you stood next to me in that gallery, and everything just clicked. A radiant smile spread across his face, a smile that reached his eyes and made them sparkle with pure joy. He leaned in slowly, giving me ample time to react, but I didn't pull away. I leaned into him, my eyes fluttering closed as his lips met mine. It was a soft, tender kiss at first, a gentle affirmation, then it deepened, becoming more confident, more passionate. It was a kiss that spoke of longing, of discovery, of a burgeoning love that felt both new and ancient, a love that had been waiting patiently for this very moment. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a promise, a confirmation, an echo of the profound sense of rightness that had settled over me the moment he sat next to me. And in that quiet park, surrounded by the vibrant colors of autumn and the gentle rustle of leaves, I knew with every fiber of my being that this was just the glorious beginning of our forever. We had found each other, two souls recognizing their home, and the journey ahead, filled with every kind of beauty, was only just beginning. The kiss in the park, under the old oak tree, was a promise whispered not just between our lips, but between our souls. It was tender and fierce, a revelation of a connection that felt both brand new and ancient, as if our hearts had recognized each other across time. When Leo finally pulled away, his eyes, those warm hazel eyes flecked with gold, held mine with a profound tenderness that mirrored the love swelling in my own chest. The setting sun cast long, golden shadows through the trees, bathing us in a warm, ethereal glow that felt like a blessing on our new beginning. "I could stay here all night," he murmured, his voice a low, husky whisper, still holding me close. "Me too," I confessed, my voice thick with emotion, nestling deeper into his embrace. The chill of the autumn evening faded into insignificance, replaced by the warmth of his body, the steady beat of his heart against mine. The world, which had once felt so chaotic and uncertain, now felt perfectly, beautifully aligned, reluctantly, as the last sliver of sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple. We began our walk back. The park, once vibrant with the sounds of children and families, was now quiet, peaceful, a sacred space holding the echo of our confession. Our hands remained entwined, a silent, comforting connection. The conversation flowed easily, but now it was laced with a new kind of intimacy, a shared tenderness that added a deeper layer to every word. We talked about silly things, small observations about the world around us, and then, without effort, drifted into discussions about our deepest hopes and dreams, our aspirations for the future now subtly intertwined. When we reached my apartment building, the porch light cast a soft, welcoming glow. We paused at the door, both reluctant to say goodnight. He turned to me, his hands gently cupping my face, his thumbs tracing the line of my jaw. His gaze was unwavering, filled with so much warmth and affection that my breath caught. "Zara," he said, his voice soft, "I truly had the most incredible day with you. More than just a date. It felt like a glimpse into forever." My heart pounded with a joyful beat. "It did," I whispered back. "It really did. Thank you, Leo, for everything. For seeing me, truly seeing me." He leaned in, and this time the kiss was deeper, slower, filled with the weight of our shared confessions, of promises yet to be spoken. It was a kiss that sealed our commitment, a silent vow exchanged under the familiar porch light. When we finally pulled apart, breathless, his forehead rested against mine. "I'll call you tomorrow morning," he promised, his voice husky. "Please do," I replied, a wide smile on my face. I floated into my apartment, the air still buzzing with the lingering magic of his presence. I leaned against the closed door, a happy sigh escaping my lips, and allowed myself to fully bask in the overflowing joy. My heart felt light, buoyant, as if it could simply lift me off the ground. The memories of him, of his jacket, which had once felt like heavy chains, now felt like cherished foundations, beautiful elements of a past that had, paradoxically, led me to this wonderful present. The days that followed were a beautiful blur of escalating connection. Our texts and calls became more frequent, more intimate. We'd share snippets of our work, his, the latest challenges and breakthroughs in his community center proposal. Mine, a particularly intricate plot twist I'd finally untangled in my novel. Our mutual support and understanding for each other's creative processes deepened, fostering a bond built on shared passion and respect. He was my biggest cheerleader, and I, his dot. Our dates became more frequent, each one a new adventure and discovery. We found a hidden gem of a small, independent cinema that played classic foreign films, spending an entire Saturday lost in cinematic storytelling, followed by hours of debating the film's philosophical nuances over coffee. We cooked together in my small kitchen, filling the apartment with the aromas of garlic, herbs, and our easy laughter. He was surprisingly adept with a chef's knife, his precision hinting at his architectural mind. And I loved watching him move with such focused grace. We even spent an afternoon volunteering at a local animal shelter, both of us melting over the playful puppies and purring kittens, discovering a shared love for furry companions. It was during this time, watching him gently calm a nervous puppy, his hands so tender and patient, that I saw another layer of his profound kindness. He was good, truly good to his core. He was effortlessly thoughtful. One rainy afternoon, when I was struggling with a particularly frustrating chapter, he arrived at my door with a steaming mug of my favorite tea, a box of my preferred dark chocolate, and a copy of a literary magazine he knew I enjoyed. "Just thought you might need a little creative fuel," he'd said with a gentle smile, and the simple gesture had melted away all my stress. He seemed to intuitively know what I needed. Often before I even realized it myself, I, in turn, found myself doing the same for him. After a particularly grueling week of deadlines, I surprised him with a cozy night in, complete with his favorite takeout, a new logic puzzle book, and a marathon of his favorite nerdy sci-fi show. We spent the evening curled on the couch, not talking much, just existing in comfortable companionship, his head resting on my shoulder as he drifted in and out of sleep. His exhaustion was palpable, but in that shared quiet, he was still beautiful to me, a testament to his dedication and hard work. Our conversations grew deeper, revealing layers of our personalities that only trust and intimacy could unearth. We shared fears and insecurities that we rarely showed to others. His occasional self-doubt about his designs, my fear of not being good enough as a writer. We talked about past heartbreaks, the lessons learned, and the ways those experiences had shaped us. There was no judgment, only empathy and understanding, a safe space where we could be completely vulnerable, completely ourselves. One evening, as we sat on my balcony, wrapped in a blanket, watching the city lights twinkle below, the conversation turned serious. "Zara," he began, his voice soft, "I've never felt this kind of connection before, this depth, this rightness. It's like my life was moving along, but now, with you, it's finally in focus." He turned to me, his hazel eyes illuminated by the city glow, filled with an overwhelming tenderness. "I can't imagine a day without you in it anymore. I want to build a life with you." My heart leaped, a joyous, soaring sensation that brought tears to my eyes. The words were a confirmation of everything I felt, everything my heart had known from the very beginning. "I want that too, Leo," I whispered back, my voice thick with emotion. "More than anything, you are my home. You make everything feel right." He smiled, a radiant, beautiful smile that melted away any lingering doubt. He leaned in slowly, giving me time, but I didn't hesitate. Our lips met in a kiss that was slow, deep, and filled with the profound weight of our spoken vows. It was a kiss that promised forever, a silent commitment made under the vast, star-dusted city sky. It wasn't just a kiss. It was the seal on a future we would build together, brick by beautiful brick, word by cherished word. The weeks turned into months, each day weaving new layers into the rich tapestry of our shared life. We learned to navigate the inevitable challenges of demanding careers, supporting each other through late nights and stressful deadlines, always prioritizing our connection, our shared moments of quiet joy. His jacket, now folded neatly in my closet with my own cherished belongings, no longer smelled solely of memories. It smelled of our memories, new ones, fresh ones, filled with laughter, with quiet conversations, and with the unwavering warmth of a love that had found its way home. And in every quiet moment, every shared glance, every touch, I knew with an undeniable certainty that the day he sat next to me and everything felt right again was just the prologue to the most beautiful story of my life.